Hello friends, good evening, good afternoon, hello, welcome, yes, it's Party Monday. We're all having a wonderful time. I'm just getting in and about, getting ready for hopefully Andrew to join us. Hi Match Fixer. Captain Carp, haven't seen you in a while, champion. We're painting some models that have been sitting in my collection for a very long time. Not gonna lie, I'm very nervous about painting them, but I'm having a great time. It's the Three Witches from Lucas Pinar. So early days, I think. We're gonna try and push these guys a little way. See if we can make them sing a little bit. I do need one more colour on the palette, which is this one. If I were a boy. Hugo, can you get that fly for me, buddy? Get him. Yeah, get him. Get him. Bite him. Alright, hopefully we'll have Andrew joining us later on for a full debrief breakdown of our time at the Arc Open, which was great. Been the first stream that he and I will have done together since then. So it's exciting to be, it's exciting to be excited about a project. I haven't really had a lot of buzz for painting for a few months, as I'm sure many of you would know. But painting these little girls has been like chicken soup for the soul. Remember that book series, Rocket? Chicken Soup for the Soul?
No, never heard of it.
Haven't you?
No.
Yeah. G'day Swanky Steve. What's happening, buddy? Indeed, it is good evening for me. Thank you, mate. I won't claim full credit on this one. It's a wonderful model that makes it very easy to paint. So very little to do with me and more to do with that paint job. I think the figure paints itself. So there's a few things I'm sort of mulling over with these two. Just around the ambient lighting, and if I want to include some ambient lighting around their bits and pieces. I haven't decided yet. But there is this thing, which is the cauldron. So I think we might do a little bit on the cauldron. Do we think? bronze or do we think steel? It's a pretty warm palette, so maybe we'll go rusty steel. That'd be a good porn name. Rusty steel. Chuck sprays. Hello there, Space Toy. Happy Party Monday. It is the Three Witches indeed. Huge moment. For those who've not sort of familiar with these models, these are a pretty rare set of figures that were released by one of the all-time greats, sculptors in Lucas Pina, a few years ago. And they're a limited run. There was only ever 113 of them made. So those people who have managed to procure copies of them are very, very fortunate indeed, and I'm lucky to count myself among those people. Which is an absolute privilege, let me tell you. What do you want, buddy? So we'll go for a rusted metal. To find out what this idiot dog is looking at. Stand by. What's up, buddy? Where are you? What are you doing? What's up? You crazy guy. What? What? What do you want? No. You're just being a pest. Silly guy. Masters at SMC, wonderful. Good luck. It's a big step up, as I'm sure you're already aware of, having been to Monty. Yeah. Probably put everything together on the palette, on the base tonight. See how it all looks together. Nice, yeah. So when I went, I stayed in Amsterdam for a few days, and we had a really good time. Space Toy Crimson Brush was in January, mate. It's basically 2 months since then, champion. I mean, I'm sure it did go well, but long time. Already started thinking about next year.
Hugo, why are you crying?
G'day, Timbo. Yeah, just having a crack at the cauldron. Cauldron it up. Wow. I wish it was 5 minutes ago for me. Jeez Louise. Been a tough couple of months. Monday was okay. Got to go for a run today. Cooked dinner. Feel good. Been a successful day, really. Now getting to paint some cool stuff on this. Swanky Steve, I am using mostly a combination of AK 3rd generation and Vallejo model colour, but I do have a few Chimera paints in there as well, and later on I'll use some contrast paints from Games Workshop. I know it's probably about 3 or 4 Ks, mate. I'm pushing shit uphill if I can go any further than that at the moment with my current fitness, but yeah, gonna try and build back up. Is he whinging about, bro? Thanks, Yab. I just turned 40 last week, so the fact that I can still run that far is better than not being able to run that far, I guess. What day, Yab? It's weird because Bucks's birthday was Tuesday last week. No, Monday. Mine was Tuesday, and Jared's, who's also in this wonderful group, his was Thursday. So we were all together at ARC for what we dubbed our birthday weekend. Well, you're the Wednesday, you filled in the middle. Perfect. We got 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th in a row birthdays. Cool. Bro, can you go and have a look at what he's looking at? I couldn't find it because he ran straight over to me.
Where is it?
Don't know.
Mommy, what's that? Okay. I don't know, Uncle Dad, not know that.
What did he want?
He wanted the little, comb, the rocking comb,
Oh, where was it?
under the couch.
Oh. He can go under the couch, can't he?
So he couldn't retrieve it because it's a big rocking comb.
Thanks, Rocket. Big day for Rocket coming up on Friday. About to move into a new house. Taking Hugo with her. Poor Hugo. He's going to miss his Uncle Dad. No, Rumpelstiltskin I elected not to. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I liked it. It was a good sculpt up my alley, but what was probably a silly decision on my behalf was I've just stopped buying Spiras because I don't have any room in my cabinet at the moment. Well, I've got room, but I don't like my pile of potential to be too big. I like it to be manageable. I think it helps that overwhelmed feeling you can get sometimes when you look at all of the things you've got to paint and you realise you're probably going to die before you get to paint them all. Well, I don't have that problem because all of the models that I buy, I pretty much have plans to paint them within the next 12 months or so. So I'm sure there'll be some. I'm sure there'll be some that I won't finish before I die, but won't be too many. Yeah, it's so easy to stock up and buy. Oh, that looks great, I'll buy that. Oh, that's cool, I'll buy that. And then before long, you've got 100 models sitting in the cabinet. And like, realistically, there's probably not many painters out there that paint as much as I have done in the past. Maybe not in the last 12 months, but certainly the speed at which I crack out projects. And if I think to myself, I can't finish that many models, hey Jared, then yeah, strong possibility that people are going overboard with what they're capable of. So for anyone who missed the start of the stream, this is the ladies as they stand at the moment. We've got this chick just ploughing around in her bowl. I don't know what we're going to do with the bowl yet, but I'll wait for Bucks to come on later on and explain a little bit about what I'm trying to do with the colour palette. There's some interesting choices that I don't normally do that I am trying to work with, so I'll discuss those later on and get Bucks's take. But so far I think it's going okay for a project that I've sat on for 6 years. And done nothing about because I was nervous. About painting these wonderful models. I wish I could explain what these models sort of signified for me, because I really got into display painting quite hard around the time when I was married, and then later on, fairly soon after, separated and divorced, and these models were right around that time. And you know, these models are just, they were a holy grail of figures for me, and I guess for many painters. These figures are one of the most highly sought after pieces. So it was sort of a pretty meaningful time for me to get them, and I won't say they made me feel like everything was going to be okay, but I certainly had a lot of meaning ascribed to them. Yeah, they were my unicorn. Well, I was worried for many years that I wasn't good enough to paint these models, and as I posted about yesterday, I think that's a pretty normal feeling for many people with some of their favourite models. There's always that mentality of, I'll do this when I get good enough. And I don't know if all of the painters in the world feel that way, or if it's just us plebs. But the last few weeks and I guess months has been challenging, and I just thought to myself, you know what, life's too short. Life's too short to not paint great models. And even if I'm not good enough, I'll just do my best and I'll have fun, and that'll be enough. And so far, it has been. It has been wonderful and satisfying and emotional and challenging. I do have one buried deep, Jared. Do have one. Doesn't come out much. I think I'm relatively non-emotive when it comes to my figure soldiers. You know, I focus on painting them and having a nice time. But there's certainly pieces that have been really meaningful for me over my painting journey. Ones that I've invested a lot of time in, and there's well, I did a project a few years ago which was called the Enchanted Forest, which was a miniature called.
Excuse me.
You can't out there because he doesn't come in your door. Signer in the Night, which you pick up from who does make that? Is it Nocturna? No, a Radia. It's a Radia figure. And it's a little dude on a turtle with a fairy behind him, and it's sort of really quite a nice little model. And my wife at the time really liked the model, so I painted it up and poured heaps of time into it, and it was just a really won People's Choice at the what was then called the Crystal Dragon, which was really nice, as at the time it was probably my first significant painting milestone. So that one was a big deal. There's been a few busts. A lot of the Lucas Pina busts, you know, Mama Booho was really big for me, and not really the dioramas. Like, the dioramas feel a lot more like work at stages, so it's hard for me to really have a huge emotional attachment to them. But they'd be up there, just in terms of the achievement, really. Wizard of Oz, yeah, Wizard of Oz was fun. Post-apocalyptic scene, I think that's the one you're talking about. It's really weird trawling through my my putty and paint profile. I was on there the other day, uploading a couple of pieces. Just had a bit of a bow peep through. I've painted a lot of models. There was someone there that I was like, you know what? I absolutely had completely forgotten that I painted that. Genuinely, many figures where I was like, wow. Good for me. G'day, Buxo. Sounds good, buddy. Yeah, I've painted a few models, mate. But many good ones I've painted. There's a few in there. There's a few. But I'll give you the hot tip, there is a lot more misses than hits. So, if you're looking at me going, Deno, you're so fucking good, man. You never make a mistake. Just go back through my Instagram. You'll see plenty. Hey, buddy. You alright? Indeed, and if not for those misses, I would not be here painting these cool models or any of the cool models. So remember that, friends. Remember that. Might go with just a teensy bit of Pterodon turquoise in this mix, just a smidge. There's a lot of cool figures out there, right? A lot of tremendous figures to paint, and I do think I'm becoming more selective in what I do with my time and the figures that I choose to invest my time into paint. But painting something like this is pretty great. Hey buddy, what's up? Do you want to come here? You don't? You know, hopefully people are getting value like that from my stream all the time, and that sharing of knowledge like that, hopefully, is providing people a reason to come visit. There's a lot of that stuff that I think we take for granted, maybe. Yeah. And that knowledge is stuff that I learnt through many classes, you know, with Meg Maples, with Raphael Pica, and that stuff is just so vital to being able to do this malarkey well. Good one, mate. Get in there. There's only one chance to paint the unicorn. One opportunity. Lose yourself in the music the moment you want it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Mopsy kitty. That's it. But on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. So we're going for a very, very rusted old metal here. Stop it. Come on! That colour was light orange from AK. heart's on fire. Come to me, wild and wilder. Ooh, it can't be wrong.
If I go to the shop, do you want some dessert?
No, I had my chocolates.
Okay.
Take your heart and do it strongly now. You're simply the best. You're better than all the rest. You're better than anyone I've ever met. Stuck on your heart. Tangled every word you say. I am indeed. We will be graced tonight by the presence of young Andrew Buckley, who was very fortunate to win 3 gold medals. 3 at the recent Arc Open. 3, the person who received the most gold medals at the event, including the highly sought after and most prestigious single figure, where he went mano a mano against Dave Colwell and came out on top. What an amazing achievement. Are you shitting me? Oh, fuck. I fucking love Arnie's Conan. I like the Momoa Conan too, actually, but Arnie's Conan is just all time. Have you ever seen that that documentary they did on Arnold when he was a bodybuilder? He was basically like, you know, doing weight is like having sex with a woman and coming for me. It was such a fucking funny. Did you say that was a bad Arnie impression?
Yeah.
Can you do an Arnie impression, Rocket?
Yeah.
Alright, go.
It's not a tumor.
You can't just say a line.
Yeah, you can. That's how impressions work.
Alright. I'll pay that.
It's not a tumor.
That's worse than your first effort.
It's not a tumor.
You're getting worse. Yeah, Kindergarten Cop's pretty good. There's 2 films from the Arnold Schwarzenegger collection that just don't get enough appreciation in my books. That are just classic pieces of cinema. The first one being Total Recall, incredible film. Still has one of the lines in it that I have laughed at more than anything else when watching a film, which is tremendous. And the second one, that one's probably pretty well known, but the second one, which may not be as well known, is an Arnie film called The Sixth Day. It's about clones. Do you remember that movie?
I don't think I've seen that movie, but
Oh.
you are wrong about your Arnie movies.
What's your picks?
Twins,
No, please.
and the one where he's pregnant.
Junior.
Yeah, they're the best ones. By far. It's not even a competition.
The Sixth Day. The Sixth Day was a great film. Junior and Twins, not on my list, but certainly quality films. I'm quite partial to True Lies as well. You're fired.
What about Batman?
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, chill. Do you know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
Okay, you don't know anything.
No. Outstanding stuff. The yeah, The Sixth Day doesn't get enough credit. Really good film. Really strong film. Enjoyed it a lot. But I'm telling you, if you haven't watched Total Recall in a while, just can't watch it. Outstanding film. Quaid, start the reactor. No. The moment that I laughed at in that film, throughout the whole film, Arnie's got an antagonist, and it's Michael Ironside, Sharon Stone's actual husband. And when he comes back to Mars and he meets Cohagen, give those people air! Michael Ironside's a real dick to him. He's like, hey, we're having a party later on. You should totally make it. I'll see you there. And then later in the film, he's fighting with him on an elevator, and he grabs his arms, and the elevator chops his arms off, and he falls down with no arms. He just screams out, "See you at the party, Richter!" It's the fucking best. Oh shit! I have not laughed that hard in a long time. Fuck me. Still could laugh at that right now. Collegan, give those people air. Consider that a divorce. I've developed some more appreciation for some of the colours in the Chimera Wave 2 collection. I still won't say they're high on my list of recommendations, but they are okay. Thank you, mate. Yeah, I am indeed trying something a little different with these ladies, and I will talk to Bucks about that in specific detail about what I'm doing when he joins us a little bit later on, and hopefully it is an elucidating and informative conversation for me as well, because I don't know what I'm doing. I never know what she's doing back there. Mom! Where's the meatloaf? We all know Terminator is iconic, Arnie, right? Everyone knows Terminator. you're not flexing when you know a Terminator line, right? It's like saying you've seen the movie Avatar. Congratulations, mate, you and 8 billion other people. But when you can quote lines from Conan the Barbarian, Total Recall, Last Action Hero, Predator, that's when you know. That's how you know he loves you. That's how you know he's yours. You're simply the best. You're a fucking quiet boy compared to me. Hey Bennett, let off some steam. So many good Arnie lines. Everybody, chill. Alright, we've got one more witch to go, and I think I've settled on the colour palette already. We may start her tonight, and then that way we can get a sense of how they all look together. That might be the go, I think. We got 2 fucking cauldrons with stuff in them. We need to decide how we're going to paint the colours in the middle. We're going to decide if this chunk of wood's actually working, or if it's too big. Yep, I could see that. I'm in for that. Alright, I've decided we're going to start the next trick. Woo, let's try new painting. What I might actually do is put these ones in. Let's have a look. Let's have a look how we're going and see. What are you doing? Get in your home. Why would you get in your home? Ooh. You too good for your home? So that's the front on angle. So it didn't even register on my thing actually. So on my radar. So it can't have been that good. I'm sure it was okay. Hey, Rowie, what's going on, mate? You ordering me pizza tonight or what? Fair enough, buddy. You need me to send you some cash. The rappers. How wild is it to be painting these fucking models, eh? Good on you, buddy. Work hard. Head down, bum up. Things will turn around. If that was your high school experience, can we trade? Yo, what's up, Andrew? Yeah, I'm in there too, mate. Which one are you in? Hello? I can't hear you, buddy. What are you doing? Hang on, I can hear you because I haven't turned my fucking sound on. There we go. Hang on. Hello?
Hello, hello, hello.
G'day. G'day.
Come say your name to Uncle Chop Chop, mate. Hello, hello. There you go.
I'm alright, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. Just thinking about fantastic Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, it's, you know.
I love Arnie, hey. I love him.
Get down!
Get down! Come on! Billy!
The best one is it from the Commando where he's like, hey, need a hand? I think he's got like the dude's blown off arm and he just like offers his arm to pick him up. Good stuff.
There's that YouTube video that's like 116 great Arnold Schwarzenegger quotes, and it's just tremendous. It's just utterly
It's fun, isn't it?
spectacular.
Yes, if it bleeds, we can
If
kill
it bleeds, we can kill it.
Great, great stuff. Mate, I can't believe that you don't have End of Days up there as a top Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
Oh look, I'm not
I'm
not saying it's not a great film. It is, and you're probably right. It probably is underrated. But fuck me if people do not give enough appreciation to fucking Total Recall. It's an outstanding film.
I reckon it's about the circles you move in, my friend, because that's always been a very popular one down here. Because it's got all the best quotes, including maybe the best quote, which is "See you at the party, Richter."
See you at the party, Richter.
It's dropped a few times already. No, quality stuff. I mean, I'm happy to go see. Are we talking about a film, an Arnold film in 2025 with?
Yeah, he's coming back for the new Conan.
Talking about?
He's coming back for a new Conan movie.
What idiot. You can go. I have a mate, a New Zealand fella, a Māori who's his name's Jordo, and he drops the best Arnie impression ever. He's got a ripper. He can just talk in the Arnold voice, right? So, and he works in he's like a trucker and packer and all that. So he gets on the PAs and just lets rip. Yeah, it's quality.
All right, let's see if this little late decision has worked well.
How is everyone? How is everyone this Party Monday? Good, I hope. What hot topics are we tackling tonight, my friend?
Well, we're going to do a little review of the ARC event.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to talk about what the hell is going on with this colour palette of mine.
Yeah, it's an interesting colour palette.
Thank you. Is that good interesting or bad interesting?
It's interesting.
Right, so good or bad, not willing to commit.
It's undecided at this point. I think it's good. I think it's better now that the second witch is in the picture. Much better.
Well, let's add the third one. Let's see how we go.
Let's get the Hufflepuff in there.
Yeah, Hufflepuff. Puffle it up. So yeah, let's talk ARC, mate. You're the star performer at the event.
Bring me into the stream.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. Hang on. Look.
And we'll talk.
There he is. I'm having a rough day, mate.
You're having a rough day, mate. Yeah, I'm having a tough one. Hello, let me line myself up for about 8 seconds of the stream before I end up out here just chatting away, you know.
I do.
Talk to my shoulder, my chest, the back of my head. You're good, Space Toy. You're at work. You're still painting and you're still behind the times, as Deno knows. Yes, I did catch you giving paying compliments to Deno, asking him about how Crimson Brush went, and yes, in
8
fact,
years
it was
ago,
2
mate.
months ago.
Crazy guy.
Old news, that one.
Yeah.
And I think, in all seriousness, we have actually been having a lot of conversation about 2024 already. We're starting early, so we're very focused on that more than anything else, I think. You're doing great, Timbo. Very good. Good to see. Who else is here? Is Jared around? JC? I'm sure he is. Roel? Rowan E.
Rowie.
Many digits. Rowie. Sorry. G'day, mate. You're really crap with keeping up with events. That's all right, mate. I'm really crap with just sort of keeping up with everything in general. Just keeping on top of life is a challenge for me.
I'm really crap at being good to people.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the TV show Juggalos?
No.
Okay. There's two great lines from that from a guy called Brace, who's like the seasoned, leathery veteran of the Juggalo world. Yeah, and he says the Brace philosophy is just to be good to people, which I think is a pretty good philosophy and probably not too hard a thing to do when you're paid to just nail birds. You know. And then his other one, which, look, I sort of live by this one. I can't anymore, but it used to be. His quote was, "Pop them titties out. This is Brace's house," you know. So another great quote there. Not Arnold's levels of quote, but a pretty good quote nonetheless. Anyhow,
Good story,
go
Docs.
watch Juggalos. You'll have a lot of laughs.
I may do so.
And Brace will, he'll tickle your pickle, man. He's a funny dude. So anyway, yes, Arc Open, yes. It was a good event. It was good fun. It was great to see everyone. Great to have everyone together. I think that was the absolute highlight of the event. Is always to spend time with our friends in one place. We all gather from around the country, and our country is broad. So we don't get that opportunity too often, and we try to take every advantage we can, right, mate, to do that. So to take every opportunity. So
Make every post a winner, really.
Pardon?
We try to make every post a winner, don't we?
Yeah.
You performed really well, mate, at the event.
Thank you.
Kudos.
Thank you. It's anyone's on the day, mate. We all know that. It's how three people fold, on the day. Can be, any horse has a chance of winning it. I was just fortunate enough to do all right this time around, but it'll be someone else's turn next time around.
Good humbleness, mate. Good humbleness, but bullshit. Bullshit.
I thought you meant bullshit. It's true.
No, you killed it. Did a great job.
Well, I think everyone did a great job.
Yeah, you and Jared, absolute rock stars, mate. Really delivered fantastically. Benny also did a great job. Me didn't really do a great job, but I was present.
I think 2 silvers is a pretty good job, mate.
Come on, mate. If you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby.
By that mantra, there's a very, very, very slim amount of space to enjoy competing. I don't know if I agree with that one.
No, look, I had a wonderful time, and that was that was my aspiration for the weekend. I didn't paint anything specifically for it like you did. I didn't plan to come down and try and sweep the field. I just wanted to see everyone and enjoy the weekend, and I definitely felt like I succeeded in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing you bring up there, Space Toy. Like, it's weird for you to celebrate your own accolades or rest on your laurels, but it's okay for other people to sort of say you've done well. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess there are plenty of people out there that will happily toot their own horn, right? And
one of them's on this fucking stream.
Mate, sometimes you've got it, right? If you don't, no one else will, sort of thing. And I think it shows good confidence. But it's an interesting one.
I was really proud of Jared, and I said as much to him on the weekend. I was equally proud of you and your achievements, but the real highlight for me, with absolute no disrespect for you, mate, is Jared's results. He's been working so hard, and to see that rewarded was really pleasing for all of us in Stonebeard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we had a conversation before the event about what was important, right? And we had that pretty high on the list for us.
Yeah.
As something we would like to see. I mean that, congratulations again, Jared. If I haven't said it enough, I agree with everything Dano sort of says and has said in regards to this, and I think the congratulations. Don't be teary, because the congratulations isn't for the award you won, but I think it's to acknowledge the effort that you've put in. That's the thing that's most important to me.
I'm going to explain that. I'm going to explain that in a wonderful, wonderful story for anyone who's not familiar with this story. There's an Australian icon. He's one of our all-time Olympic champions, and his name is Stephen Bradbury.
The great Stephen Bradbury.
And if you're not familiar with Stephen Bradbury, he competed in the Winter Olympics in the speed skating.
And 2004, wasn't it? Was it 2004 or was it 96? 2004. Yeah. 2002, because it was 2000 was the Sydney Olympic Games.
And our first ever medal in the Olympics was a bronze medal, Winter Olympics, from I think it was Zali Stegel actually won bronze one year for the slalom. The big, what's that jumping one called?
Yeah, the mega jump.
Yeah, big jump.
Yeah.
But Stephen Bradbury was our first gold medal, and it's a wonderful story because he made it through to the final, but he was in fourth place in terms of qualifying times. He was just trash, right, compared to the Chinese.
Well, I mean, he was elite. But there were just three people much more elite than he was.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So it's fair to say he was trash. But the thing about Bradbury is he was still there, right? He was still there, and Bradbury watched the final lap, the three people in front of him fall down, and he slid over the line to win gold. And there's a wonderful picture of him just doing these ones.
Yeah, just sending it to the crowd.
And after and this is where it comes in, Timbo. After the event, everyone was like, "Well, do you really feel like you've earned that gold medal, mate? You know, three other people fell down in front of you. So is it really worth anything?" And he's like, "I just won a gold medal at the Olympics, and it's not about what happened in the final that matters. It's what I did in the last 4 years. The training, the early starts, the constant challenging myself to be better
self-doubt,
over and over again. I'm taking this gold medal for every one of those days where I beat that and I got up and I went at it anyway. And the fact that I got into the final, anything happens in professional sport, I deserve it just as much as any of those guys." Wonderful, wonderful story. I love it. And yes, you're right. Jared didn't watch other people fall over in front of him, but it's about the hard work and the effort that he's put in time and time again. If you would like to think about it, he had many, many events where he attended and couldn't quite crack it, and yet.
Particularly for Jared, and not everyone in the stream will know this, but Jared had taken this piece to 4 events, I believe. And at 4 events, and when 4 events, like it kind of, the best result I think it had pulled was at Crimson Brush in the first year it went, which was the silver. And then it actually got, like, I think it progressively did worse, right? Like in regards to how it was judged. And so, like, that's like not something that's easy to just endure. Like, that doesn't feel good. Like, if I could speak for Jared, I might be wrong, but if it was me, I don't think that would feel good. But then to still have faith and go, no, I actually do think this is good. I think, and then to take it to the first true event that acknowledges the subject matter and the design and the painting for it, and it to win the People's Choice Award is probably incredibly validating, and you should feel incredibly validated by that. Because it's also like taking something to multiple shows, like there's a stigma to a degree, you know.
I think there's a stigma in Australia. I don't think there's any stigma in European competitions at all. I think that's normal. That's the done thing. Fair. So, I want to challenge sort of something that you said there. It's like, the type of event I don't believe was as important as I think you think it was. Like, I think the fact that he kept refining it and improving it, I think that is the more important point. G'day,
Sure.
Bitmat.
I mean,
G'day, Bitmat.
the point that I make on this is that this is no different to like, you know, very famous athletes. So, like, we take NBA players for example, who like make it to the NBA, and for whatever reason, sometimes that system doesn't quite work. That doesn't mean that they're not an elite level basketball player that can literally go anywhere else in the world and find and be appreciated for what their talent and hard work is. So I think that there is something to do with the audience in which is perceiving or is looking at you, right? Yeah. And so I think that this piece was in front of the people that would value this piece the most, and that's like really important.
Yep, that's a fair observation, and it's also probably fair to say that that's just smart. That's just smart decision making about what you take, and you obviously also did some smart decision making in taking a piece that was 40k and Golden Demon-esque in your approach. So well done. Hey Jan, I don't think I said g'day to you before, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing very well.
Yeah, I hope your little one's going alright. I remember Jan had a kid a little while back as well. So
probably about a year ago, I would think, if I was
probably, yeah.
How close are we, Jan?
So I think it's actually a culmination of all those things.
Yes.
Yeah, really made us all very happy. So, and that's the sort of thing that I think is more important than any personal accolades or anything like that. Is, you know, like seeing your friends succeed and be acknowledged for their hard work is a pretty cool feeling. That's something that you spoke about, Trent, with me. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I got just probably more satisfaction out of your results and Jared's results than I did out of my own, because I don't feel the need that I don't. Yeah, 26 weeks. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you reach that point where competing is less important to you, and that's usually after you've either won or you've entered enough times that it stops becoming important.
Yeah.
But yeah, your results were really satisfying, because you know we all see how hard you've worked and how much you've strived to improve, and you know, proof is in the pudding. Practice gets you there.
Yeah. That's it, right? And I can't wait until our next event. I mean, for all the non-Australians, our painting season has effectively come to a close. We have another event that's going to pop up sort of mid-year, which will be a nice little tether to competitive painting that will keep people engaged, which is really good. Which we'll talk about more as we ramp up towards that event. But you know, we sort of similar. I guess we follow in Europe's footsteps in regards to sort of packing our events kind of close together, so that you kind of get the better part of a year to paint for it, and then you can drop some pieces all together and then tour them around a little bit. So it's kind of exciting as well, mate, to have it over in a way. What do you think about
that? You put a lot of pressure on yourself in the week leading up by deciding to paint something for it. So I think that's probably a fair point. I think it's fair to feel a little bit of relief that that's over. So
yeah, I also like that, like, it's just the focus shift as well. So like, for example, like today, like I've been really feeling painting armies again and getting back into some more hobby orientated Bitmat. That is it will be an event in
go follow the Sydney Display Painters Guild on Instagram, or join the Oz Painters Facebook group. No doubt the event will be talked about in there. It's going to be called the Sydney Display Painters Guild painting event.
Yeah. Congratulations to yourself as well, Big Matt. You pulled silvers in single miniature as well.
Who's Bitmat? Is that
who
Richard?
Hasn't seen Bitmat's name in the
Who's
the chat.
Bitmat?
Bitmat painted the vampire from Underworld, and he painted the Squig Rider from Underworlds too.
Bitmat, good shit, mate. I didn't know that. I want to go and have a look at your stuff now.
Yeah, it's really good stuff, man. It's really, really good, and I think he's pretty new to painting too, so he'd be one to watch.
Another one to take under my wing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what was I saying? Yeah. Just getting excited, like to do stuff, like to be painting stuff that's outside of display painting now for a little while. I think I've already thrown myself right in the paint slave pit, doing a New World Eaters army, mate, and painting. Today, all I've been doing is painting black trim on Space Marine, Chaos Space Marines. And if you thought that was annoying back in the day when you were painting armies, it's got 5 times worse now, mate. They have trinkets on trinkets on trinkets.
I have zero sympathy for you, mate.
No, nor should you. It's a self-inflicted punishment that practice what you preach, right, mate? I'm
That's
always
it.
one to talk about keeping your fundamentals sharp. Can't do Space Marines anymore. It's it's a gem. It's taken. I've got 8 done so far, and it's taken sort of half an hour per guy, and then dragging the feet a little bit. So it's like almost a day's painting just for painting black trim.
Let's just talk about the event in a little bit broadly. So it was the first year for the Arc Open. It was held at a venue that I will give a 7 out of 10 for the actual venue itself, but a 3 or 2 out of 10 for the accessibility of the venue, because where the fuck was it, right? Couldn't even find it. Rubbish. Melbourne sucks. The actual layout of the room was awesome. We had so much space for the painters. The 40k event, the Arc Open, or the Arc 40k.
Yeah, like if we want to just go through a quick rundown and start start on that side of the event.
That looked awesome.
They've really, really stepped it up for delivering a premier gaming event. So much so that this is why I'm doing some 40k stuff right now. I was just super inspired to see, to just see all of these wonderful armies on display, to see awesome tables, to see all the effort that I'm just going to blanket it, and then we can target some individuals. But there is a streaming culture and content culture that's growing pretty rapidly in Australia. And to see all of these channels working together, to deliver an event is just super inspiring. And it's super, it's super Australian, right? So it's really great to see that. Everyone's sort of putting the bigger picture before their own.
I haven't actually rewatched my interview yet. I should go and do that and see how I can.
Yeah, you should.
What'd you say, Rocket?
That shocks me. Absolutely shocks me.
No, well, it was right in the middle of the weekend, and it was a long stream. I didn't really.
Only listen to yourself in a car.
Yeah, so for everyone watching as well, Trent did a brief interview in regards to some promotion for Crimson Brush, and that's in the exact same vein, right? As all of these streamers and content creators working together, the events work together as well to support each other and prop each other up. So I just thought that was super, super cool to see and really inspiring. And not only that, they had an incredible setup. Hey, Trent.
Oh my god, it made me feel really, really small.
Right?
It's such a cool setup. I was so impressed by it.
I often wonder when you see that, right? So, I think most people know that you have a very long history with wargaming.
Yes.
And deep down have a very strong passion for gaming and wargaming. You know, it might not be lit right now per se, but it has been in the past.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have any moments, man, when you were seeing, you know, pair of guys on cam going hard, you know, battling it out on these tables? You've got people like interviewing, you've got hosts, you know, you've got.
All right, let me just
going on. Was there any like whisper in the back of your ear that's like, turn to the game?
All right, mate. I just want you to see this, buddy. I want you to see this. Here is a link.
Yeah.
Feel free to click it. This was 2015. This was the Iron Gauntlet World Championships run by Privateer Press. This was live streamed. This was almost at the dawn of that live streaming.
Yeah.
Like that was the first real genuine crack at a live stream, to my knowledge.
So the War Machine was doing it quite early on, and so was Star Wars X-Wing, right?
Yeah,
they were both streaming their events.
Yeah. So this event was the Iron Gauntlet World Championships. Mate, I was interviewed. There's like player cards. There's commentators. They had a whole crew. There was like a dude walking around with a camera.
Yeah.
It was full on. So I didn't get jealous or pangs of jealousy or anything like that, where I was like, oh my god, I've really got to go and fucking.
I don't mean jealousy by any stretch. I mean, like, did it reignite that fire to compete and sort of like
it did not.
You know, I think all the people that are at the very top end of competitive whatever it is, like that doesn't go away. I don't reckon. I think it's always there to some degree. It's just whether the fire is stoked or not.
I agree. I am always fighting a constant battle with myself to just not go back balls deep and show the young whippersnappers what they're doing wrong.
Yeah. For everyone at home, Trent and I played a singular game of Marvel Crisis Protocol while
I wasn't going to bring it up, mate.
Down here. And it was a 16-3 absolute shellacking. He smacked my ass so hard it was on the front of me, not on the back of me. You know what I mean? He gave me a whooping. And a well-deserved weapon. Hey, Joe Skynet.
Hey, Joe.
So, you know, can definitely play games good. But I don't know that beating me is any
Mate,
statement in that much, so.
It's not on the medal list for me. It doesn't rank.
No.
I'm not sitting there going, oh, wow, that time I bought Bucks. Beat Bucks. That's a real highlight for me in my gaming career.
Mm-hmm.
No, not so much.
No. So I mean that was super cool. How cool was the fact that on one side of the ribbon arc, guys, they project the mission brief for each round onto the wall, and it takes the whole wall up. So you can imagine a room full of 160 to 200 people, and then one whole wall is taken up by a mission. They had some really classy little things like that I thought really elevated the gaming side. So I thought that was super cool. Really good coverage. Good stuff. Almost tempting to make me want to participate at least once in it. But then I thought I would love for gaming. I've had this chat a couple of times, mate. I would love for gaming to maybe get to the point where painters can partner up with a gamer. You know what I mean? And paint a really nice army and sort of enter it into the competition to compete in another way. I thought that would be pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Love to do something like that. What's up?
Yeah, no, that'd be interesting. I don't know if I agree with it, but because I'm one of those people who can do both. So.
Yes, well, that's true. You're one of probably the few people that has ever really competed on the highest or the grandest stage for both, right? Can't think of a long list of people who have done that.
I don't think there's many people who can say that they've competed at the international events for 3 separate game systems. No.
Yeah. And then throwing the hat in the ring for painting as well, right?
Yep. I don't know that I would say that big elite level trophies take their toll on you. I think You know, it's been my belief for a while that the only people that really value those things are the people that are just below it and are just like trying to get there, you know, and it just means so much to them. But then when you achieve that success, be it, you know, gaming or painting or otherwise, the satisfaction is really the only thing that you have at the end of the day that actually means something. And someone said yesterday, mate, on the stream, they were like, I bet Bucks is feeling real satisfied with his win. And I said, well, I'm sure he is feeling proud of what he's achieved, but the one thing that Bucks and I talked about after the event was just how he regretted not doing more and how he thinks about all the things he could have done better. And that's the mark of someone who's going to be successful and improve, but it's also probably the thing that separates really truly successful people and people who just want to be successful is that constant strive to be better.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment of it. I was having a chat to Benny yesterday, and I was sort of thinking like, well, what are your next goals? Like, what are my next goals in painting, and where would I like to go with it? And I think for as long as there are awards that are there to win, then there's still some goals in that space. You know, like it's probably pretty evident that I'd like to compete and try and win a best in show at an event here in Australia. And then I think outside of that, it'd probably be moving to the international stage to compete there. But I don't, to reinforce what you were saying and chatting to Ben about this yesterday, I'm not entirely sure that the feeling would change regardless of any of the events after it. You know, and maybe that's something to think about more.
Well, I achieved silver medal at SMC and then went on to get a silver and bronze at Monty. And I remember my initial feeling was a real surge of deep satisfaction, just like, I fucking set out to do something and I achieved it. And then after that, it was more of a, what could I do better next time? What can I do that would have got me to a gold? What could I do that would have got me another step?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just such an interesting mindset that we have around competing, I guess. But it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we're talking about is like the journey of mastery as well.
Yeah.
Caught a few YouTube shows that Rob, Honest Wargamer, has done recently about mastery. Obviously, he's talking about mastery in regards to system mastery in regards to wargaming, but I mean it's applicable to all forms of mastery, all things that you can master. But it's a very interesting subject, mastery.
It is. Look, overall, mate, it was a really nice weekend. We spent wonderful time with a great bunch of people. You and I got to have some good car rides and some fun laughs.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real win, right? Like, the event was great, you know, and the event will get better. That's the other cool thing. There's plenty that the team from Arc Open and Arc 40K are going to take away from this one. I think they took a huge step forward. I think the event is only going to grow as more systems want to be a part of it, and with more systems being a part of it, the painting side of it will naturally grow as well, as there'll be more people there. I think they have some interesting challenges which you've highlighted already, which are in regards to the bridge between really, really good army painting and then display painting.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they tackle some of those challenges and hopefully being able to offer some assistance if needed, or maybe help, galvanize the two sides a little more. Maybe encourage a few people to cross the Rubicon in that regard, and maybe give display painting a bit of a go. As I think there's a lot of people out there that will realise it's not as hard as they might think. coming from an army painting background. But you know, event.
Did we lose Bucks? Looks like we're still streaming. But we've lost Bucks. Can you still hear me, friends?
All right, I'm back. My computer accidentally shut down.
Hello, buddy.
Give me a sec.
All right.
I think the time spent with friends, the fun had, and the relationships you build around these things are the most important things, and always will be.
Agreed.
You know, as maybe as cliche as that might be for a lot of people, it's the truth.
Well, take it from me, mate. I don't look back at my time in the War Machine or Warhammer scene thinking, wow, I had some really great games. What a wonderful time playing at the top levels. I sit back and think, fuck, we had a great time on that trip. You know, fuck, we had some laughs.
Do you know what's a super cool thing? I think the guy, Honest Wargamer Rob, he interviewed the guy who won AOS, yeah?
Yeah.
And the guy who won it has a pretty famous line now, where he says, I don't set out to go 5-0, I set out to meet 5 new friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a cool way to approach things, you know, which we can certainly follow in the painting side of things. So,
I like that.
Yeah.
But that's a very good sportsmanship focused response when really he's going out to meet 5 people that he can crush under his boot.
I think you're 100% right, but fortunately for this guy, his actions have backed up his events. Hey, Sleepy.
Sleepy Slang, what's happening?
Yeah,
buddy?
we haven't seen you in ages, man. I've been watching your Instagram a bit, Sleepy. You're painting some cool stuff, man. Painting a lot of like cool fantasy style characters. I like it.
I haven't been watching your Instagram, but I'm sure you're doing great shit.
Here we go, Mark. I'm going to share a little. There we go. Look at that. 21 months. 21 months of coming to the channel.
Hey, Bucksy.
Yeah. So nearly at 2 years, and I can always. The beautiful thing about this little thing is you know, like giving you you know, a little bit of support for the channel is awesome, but actually it's just like it tells me exactly whereabouts I started display painting, so it's a twofold thing, mate.
Oh, good. I'm glad to provide multiple layers of value for you.
Yeah.
So we shipped off some models to a collector. We've cleaned the slate. We've cleaned the slate, and we are now staring down the barrel of an Orc Pirate Diorama.
Oh, an Orc Pirate Diorama. Hold on 1 second.
He's got it.
So, friends, as we zoom this into the picture, here we go. Look at this thing here. So, this was kindly gifted to us by one of the fellas who runs one of the independent stockers stand here in Victoria, House of War, and this is a like very out of scale, maybe a galleon or something. I'm not too sure, but this is where fun ideas start, isn't it, mate?
It is. It is. I will say this: it's often sometimes something like that kickstarts the enthusiasm for a project. Just a little idea, a piece of the puzzle, and then all of a sudden you start seeing it. You know, it starts coming together.
And so, as I said, like, and following in a very great tradition, I did say that we'd be doing some work on this tonight, and following one of your very patented lines, we're not here to fuck spiders, we're going to start dismantling this bad boy
Oh,
tonight.
yes. Good
As
stuff.
this needs to be completely dismantled and set up to tramp, as it will be remodeled in the fashion in which we see fit for us.
For some reason, Andy's decided that he doesn't want to be the one to remodel it and build a diorama. He wants to leave that to the big dog.
I just want to do other things as well, you know.
Yeah.
I want to paint some armies at the moment,
Yeah.
so
So,
and I know you want to build some dioramas. So
in other words, I will be. It's a resin. It's a what is it? PLA
yeah,
filament.
I know.
Yeah, it's a filament resin piece.
How much of this gets used is we don't know, but there is definitely some things we can take away from this. There's some nice elements if we're going to talk elements for a good display. So I mean, if you've been with us and checked out some of the ideas that we've had for this big diorama, we've kind of settled now on it being a skyfaring pirate ship that's docking in on a mountain port. And we've had some interesting ideas surrounding using masts and ramshackle components of boats that have been previous to this one that we will build the port side dock out of. These obviously these big masts will be perfect for building stuff to come out of the mountains. And then we might be able to salvage using this the hull as the primary component for our boat that's coming in, which will house a couple of 75mm models. The concern is, of course, that it is out of scale by a lot, so we're actually going to only really be able to use the shell of it. We're going to have to remodel a few things.
I love how you're saying we.
It's going to be a we. I'll be there with you spiritually. I'll be there, every Monday to criticize your actions and ask why you're doing things. And that's what a friend is for.
Great. I look forward to.
While I paint the 3 models for this diorama and claim all the fame.
Yeah. I will be taking 70% of the profits.
It's a 60-40 split, mate.
Well,
10% is diorama building, let's be honest.
not when you're talking about fucking remodeling the whole ship, mate. It's not fucking 30%. You're cracking jokes.
Listen, alright? You made a crucial mistake in the last 12 months, 24 months, or whatever, showing me how quick and easy you can put these things together.
Please. Oh dear.
I do have trim to paint. Yeah, this is correct. It's taking me away from my very important trim painting. Fundamental practice. Let's get some of these up. Jesus Christ. I'm just going to say this. Not really assembled particularly well. If our mate who gave us this needs some hobby lessons, happy to help.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna diverge into my witches and talk a little
All
bit
right,
about.
let's talk about the witches.
All right, so
What's the overall plan, sir?
you demoralised me when you said you didn't like it. I'm shuttered.
Yeah. I didn't say I didn't like it.
You said you didn't like it. I heard it. I felt it.
No.
I felt it deep in my soul. So I'm going to bring them up on screen.
Yeah.
We got 3 beautiful witches, beautiful ladies,
Yeah.
standing over this pit, and
Yeah.
with their cauldron to the side. So I wanted to try. So as you probably are very familiar, my real strength is saturation, colors that fuck you up, right? Just so
Yeah.
potent, most potent potables in terms of colors. Well,
Yeah.
what I wanted to try for this piece was not leaning into that and looking at ways to create value and interesting colors without necessarily leaning into the saturation. And so every blue I've highlighted with orange, every red I've highlighted with green, and I intend on highlighting purple with yellow, although I may not include any purple at this stage. So using a little bit of the old colour theory to create saturation contrast, or rather desaturation, and I think it's pretty cool.
Well, conceptually, it's pretty cool. I think the Cauldron is cool. I think that when you put the two of them together, it's cool. Yesterday, when I could only see the first switch, I was unsure with where you were going. Seeing them together, I like it. I think where I am not liking things is I think the skin tones are too similar to the rest of the palette. And so it's all just a bit same. Whereas you could introduce some reds, pinks, a little bit of life back into the old ladies, which is really hard. I mean, like it's not like you want to make them look old, but not dead, and that's not easy. I think at times painting old people. So there you go. Like, are you adjusting the colors to play around with it? Because you adjusted it to play around with like a little pink, and their skin went a little bit pink, and that was cool.
That's
you want to do grayscale.
That's a grayscale.
Yeah. So what do you think of the grayscale?
Well, I get the light dark light that I was going for with the various colors. So that's working, and I nothing's finished, which is always
challenging.
Yeah. So, but I think my overall feeling at the moment is that you're wrong, and this is my greatest achievement to date. So.
Okay.
But you know how different my stuff has a tendency to look in the hand, right? Like it feels a lot different. So I'm jazzed about this in a way that I haven't been jazzed in a while. So
awesome. I don't have criticisms. Yeah, my criticisms are not necessarily laid at like the concept or what you're doing or how you're doing it or how you're executing it to a degree. I think it's just some stylistic things that I think adding a little bit more life into their skin could really benefit the whole piece.
Yeah.
And you can do that really easily. Just, that'll take you 2 hours of work.
I accept your feedback graciously, sir. That is a nice piece of feedback. That will be interesting to. I mean, all I got to do is airbrush some warm. That's
all I was going to say. That's where I was going there. Yeah. But what's the overall concept like?
Well, it's a weird one because I didn't.
You have a painting. Sorry. Let me finish this thought. Yeah. You have a painting concept, right, with what you talked about with the color theory stuff. But like, what's the idea for them?
There isn't one.
Yeah.
I just sat down and painted, and I'm so happy about that because I feel like it would have been easy to wrap myself in knots trying to come up with a perfect idea for this project. There's so many iconic versions of this piece that the temptation is to just not be able to do anything because you need it to be the best. Well,
I'm trying to be mindful to be somewhat not gentle, but be a little bit softer than I normally would, and that I normally would know that you would want me to be in regards to feedback, because I know that this piece actually has sentimental value. You've sat on it for 6 years. Like, it has a lot more meaning than just painting the model. So I'm really excited to see where you go with it, mate, because there's some really cool stuff happening on here. As I said, when you put the two together, I liked it a lot more with the second witch on there.
We will see. We'll see if I can pull it all together, and maybe I won't, but it'll be a valiant attempt.
Absolutely.
Sleepy Slang, I highlighted with a lighter version of a complementary colour. So I use light orange for the dark blues, and I use light green for the dark reddy browns. It's a delicate balance, because when you mix complementary colours together, you get grey.
You get mud.
You get grey.
Yeah.
But mixing two complementary colours together will always be a more interesting grey than just grey. So it's a balance between not blending too much, not blending the colours together too much, because that, again, will give you a grey colour, but using the two colours side by side, which creates that really interesting complementary contrast. I don't know, we might actually fail when we get to the end. We might be like, this is really bad, but I don't feel that's going to happen. I don't feel like I feel like at the moment when I look at them, I'm super pumped to keep painting and keep experimenting. But yeah, who knows?
Oh. I think there'll be very positive outcomes regardless of what the paint looks like in the model.
Thank you, Andrew.
Because not everyone has the balls to paint their grays.
That is
and
it.
not everyone has the balls to do it, especially like without a plan and just to feel the process out rather than think the process out. So commend that just alone, personally.
That doesn't need commending. That's just the way I fucking paint everything, which is actually one of my weaknesses, as you know, Dave. Dave cleans everything to a T.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're working your best to turn it into a strength as well. So I think that's commendable. Or to utilize it for what it is. Hey, we have a mask. It's off.
Hey, good stuff.
There we go.
That'll be good for the docs.
It will be. I think we might even run a snag, and most of this will end up going toward the dock. Just
we'll use the front portion of the boat.
Yeah.
And I got a few little bits in the old bits box that I think are going to be a treat. So
nice.
We'll see.
You're kind of getting mad at the stuff you're painting at the moment because it's all so detailed and small. The contrast, express colors, and highlights on top make the most sense. Yeah. Yeah, I feel you on that, man. I actually think that there needs to be more light shone on this in regards to miniature companies, and it's not just one; it's many companies really guilty right now of overstacking miniatures with way too much detail. In favor of this idea that because we have products like contrast and express paint and speed paint, that you can just now throw those colors on and jobs are good and Bob's your uncle and it's done. And so we can festoon models with egregious amounts of detail because everyone just wants to paint their models like fast, quick, effective, and
May I just commend you on a wonderful sentence? Festooned with egregious amounts of detail. That's one of your best.
You like that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful sentence of real quality.
Yeah. Do you see this as well, mate?
All the time.
That are coming
all
out?
the time. Had a great conversation with Raphael Pica many years ago now, and he said, just because digital sculptors can copy paste a belt buckle doesn't mean they should.
Yes.
Right?
Great point.
And when he was sculpting figures traditionally, every time he was like, does this need a belt buckle? I mean, you can still do that same thing. You can still copy paste a buckle by making a cast of a buckle that you've sculpted. But you would always ask yourself, does the piece need this? Is this worth the effort of me going to add this extra detail? Or is it just detail for detail's sake? And I think our favourite sculptor, well, my favourite sculptor, I don't know if he's yours, but Lucas Pina, hasn't got egregious amounts of detail.
You want me to fill that up?
No, he seems to have figured it out a lot quicker than a lot of others, right? And has probably really capitalized on this
Come on.
for a long time.
Yeah. He just lands the right balance of detail versus cool elements as I'm painting.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like sculptors around the world now, with the way that sculpting has gone, have just lost touch with what their consumer base wants. You know.
That is an interesting line of conversation, because I don't know too many 3D sculptors that come up through a background of miniature painting anymore.
Yes,
Most of them come from
digital.
yeah,
Video gaming and stuff
exactly.
like that. Right?
And so
Yeah.
where 3D models are all they're focused on, and they're not thinking about how do you paint this piece. It's a wonderful observation.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we and this is not going to be like a Warhammer thing or anything like that. But let's just take Warhammer Old World as Return, right? That is, to me, the game that I was raised on, and many people around my sort of age and demographic will have had Warhammer Fantasy be a big part of their journey at some point in Warhammer.
Yep.
And so that game represents a sword and board game that requires you to paint a lot of infantry, big blocks of the fantasy skewed medieval models to fight in sword and board combat.
Yep.
When I'm painting stuff like that, I need it to be as simple as possible so that I can actually achieve the outcome of getting the things on the table, right?
Yep.
So that it feels like that's just been forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Is like, do you want to spend, and you have you can speak pretty in depth on this because you have a very long history of Warhammer Fantasy background.
Indeed.
Do you want to be spending 4 weeks painting one unit of 40 witch elves?
No.
Or do you want to spend a weekend, 2 days painting 40 witch elves, so that you can have them on the table for the other 3 weeks of the month? Like that's really got to be thought about a little bit more. I think a lot of digital sculptors need to get back to some of this stuff. And I often wonder, like, and this is a big tangent, people can chime in if they want. But I wonder if we will start to see miniature companies go the way of things like Gundam, where you have grades to miniatures, right? So you have high grade, rare grade, so on and so forth, which offer you more and more and more detail, so you can kind of choose your level of involvement. I wonder if that's the solution to this problem, because it doesn't take much for a digital sculptor to strip off, like in the process, be like, okay, this is step 1. Add this detail step 2, add this detail step 3. We have 3 products we can sell.
On a tangent of a tangent, I don't agree that is where things will go, but I think it's a nice thought. I've completely lost my train of thought, so I'll continue with your tangent. No, I've remembered it now. I saw a post today on Instagram, which was of a little, I think Roman Lepart shared it. It was of a little raven figure that had a little windy clock thing. Did you see it?
No, I haven't looked.
Yeah, go look at his grams. My observation was, and it's sort of tangentially related to what you're saying. The future of where miniatures is going, or where, because we're all aware of what AI art and digital art is capable of, right? And no doubt at some point in the future, digital sculptors will be able to render a coloured in piece, and that will be able to be printed, painted, rendering everything that we do obsolete. I think the next evolution for us is interactivity with our elements. Interactive sculptures, interactive figures. I don't know what shape that takes for us, but I feel like that's the space we need to start looking at. And I guess my light show on the vampires was an example of
incorporating new elements.
Me just trying to push that boundary a little bit.
Yeah, I think the first step will be people will start using AI generators as their creative brain, so to speak, when coming up with concepts for miniature painting.
Good
it's a great way to test color schemes and come up with things. Sleepy, in regards to what you're saying about that's even worse if you're highly detailed bendy plastic minis. Less about changing the manufacturing, like you've got the pre-existing manufacturing, and more just offering a less detailed option. And it's not just about a less detailed option for people like us, but it might actually just be a really good option potentially for new people getting into the hobby as well.
And that's a really great lesson that I think I took away from Crimson this year was, what I am looking for out of a figure is not necessarily what the general public is looking for out of a figure. So, maybe the majority of painters out there are the contrast, slap it on, Bob's your uncle, let's go, and the more detail is better for them. So,
yeah, you could be really, really, really onto something that could be just the case. And in fact, put skulls on skulls on skulls and belt buckles on belt buckles, and then, good to go.
Indeed. So, what was I going to say? Fuck, I'm having a real shocking time at the moment trying to keep my train of thought aligned.
It's all right. I've been sort of bouncing all over. I've been sleeping much lately, and when I'm not sleeping, I'm bouncing around all over things on random ass topics and weird tangents. So I'm probably sidetracking you pretty good here tonight.
Sydney Display Painters Guild event, July, June, not sure which. It's one of those two.
July.
July. Yep. What's the plan? Obviously, we haven't seen a rules pack yet. We don't know what the event's going to look like. What's the plan
before we
for
go
you?
into that, Sleepy? Absolutely, we definitely still do feedback. Post away. So what's the plan?
Yeah, what's your plan for the event? What do you want to
What's my
achieve out
plan
of
for
it?
the event? What do I want to get out for the event? That's a great question. Pending competition, which is its own thing. Spending time with spending time with friends will always be at the top of the list.
Should we try and get an Airbnb together in that case?
We could do something like that. Jim and Ree offered us a place to stay, but I would much more like if you're going to be there, we should probably do you are going to be there, we should do an Airbnb, because I don't ever want any one person to be kind of by themselves, that could work well just because we're all sort of coming in at the same time.
I do like being by myself though, mate. So
yeah, well, I understand that. But they have one room that's set up for people to stay over, and then they were going to do a blow up mattress type thing. And Betty and Storm were like, "Look, you guys, you and Yana can take the room. So if we can avoid that and then just have them take the room potentially, and us going to an Airbnb, that's totally fine by me." I haven't seen you here in ages, Frog Jim. Hello, by the way.
Sleepy Slang, let's bring it up. Ooh.
So if you want to do an Airbnb, we can do that. We'll talk off.
Yeah, we'll talk.
On that. I wish I had more to say about what my expectations are for the event. Man, where do you find these cool models, Sleepy? By the way, you kind of like have just random cool models, and I'm dog shit at finding stuff like that.
I think he's a
Printer.
printer.
Yeah. Bullet. Yeah, they're pretty good. So what's up, mate? What are you feeling for this one? Like, where would you like feedback, and how would you like it? How do you want it? Which big child woman is it, Frog Jim? It's blurred out for me. The big child woman with something is shy.
Let me start with a question, Sleepy Slang. How do you feel about it?
Okay, so you feel good about it, you struggle with the head, and you're saying, generally I struggle to make stuff darker as in atmosphere, and I don't know if this does it.
Kick us off, Bucks. What are your thoughts?
Sure. So I can really identify with you on that one, mate, on trying to do dark atmosphere stuff. There's a real challenge with doing dark atmospheres that you fear that in the end you just painted something really dark and not interesting. And I think that there's a thing that happens in our brain when we're doing dark atmosphere stuff that that kind of is like there's nothing here that's like stand out. It's all very, dark, effectively, as lame as that sounds. Where I would cite something for this is I remember very early on when I came to Deno's stream, he would talk about when he would go to painting competitions, particularly on the Europe side of the world, and everything is like super cool, but it's all super dark and you can't see anything. And I reckon that's had like an impact on his painting, on the way he paints very vibrant and very saturated to really like punch you in the mouth. Now, where I'll tie that in is I think that that's becoming more and more popular in painting, is to like paint brighter and paint with more power. And so I think that can be maybe impacting why you're struggling to potentially paint darker, because it might not feel or look right in the atmosphere. And the reason why I'm hedging myself on this is because if I were to flick this into like a value, everything is sort of sitting much higher in value than what it would need to do a dark atmosphere type thing. The bricks are like still pretty high in value, even though you've kind of gone for a darkish greenish blue color. The armor is still like really quite shiny. The cloak is still, yeah, there it is. So that's it. It's this fear that it doesn't look good in the hand. But the crazy thing is, if you want dark atmospheric type stuff, you do have to paint in those tones. That's another feature as well, is figuring out if you want to paint for the hand or for the photo. Which I am going to go out and just throw out a hot take. I think that if you're not entering a competition, you should probably consider painting for the photo in this day and age more, but only if that's what's going to make you happy.
And also, only if you can take a good fucking photo.
100%.
I really like this, Sleepy. I think it's great. I think the metal's fantastic. I think the green colour of the rocks is great. I think, the metal reads as metal. It's awesome. See you, Yabs.
Yeah.
I think you're just on the precipice of having a breakthrough when it comes to atmosphere in general, because I see a little bit of green on the underside of the metal. but I don't see it on the sword as much, just on his knees. And I feel like there's an overall lack of atmosphere on the piece, which is just so close to being there, but it's not quite there yet. And I think one of the ways you can achieve dark and moody while still also being vibrant and saturated is through atmosphere. If there was a lot more of that green tone across the whole figure, including, for example, the grass at the front of the base, which, by the way, paint your tufts, you fucking idiot. If you incorporated that green across the whole figure, even though you may have had a few of these bright lights and highlight colours, the green just brings the overall tone down and creates a darker atmosphere, which I think would have achieved what you are trying to achieve, without necessarily compromising your vibrant in the hand appeal. The cloak is a real weak point and lets the rest of it down. I can't see the back of it, but that's probably a good thing because I'd tear you to pieces. I would have gone with a much darker cloak colour, and that would have...
I would have cut the blue and made the blue a very similar colour to the rocks as well.
Yeah, and that darker cloak would have made that face, which doesn't really stand out at the moment, a lot more visible. It's present, the face, and you can see there's a nice high value spot, but it sort of just gets lost in all the muddiness around it for me. Whereas the first thing I see is the sword, which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, and so...
Don't show us the back, mate. It'll be embarrassing for you.
Leaning in on what Trent is saying about atmosphere, you have to choose how you're going to deploy atmosphere in your piece based on space is a really key sort of thing for atmosphere. Like, how much space do you have to do stuff? So I think the reason why Trent is highlighting that adding in this sort of green reflective color from the bricks is a really good way to gain atmosphere on this piece is because this piece is really compact. It's really tight.
Yeah.
Everything is like together. The arms are sucked in, the knees are sucked in. He's hunched over. His knees, elbows, hands, and face are in like an incredibly close space to each other. So you're going to have to find more creative ways to bring atmosphere in, and I think that Trent's highlighted a pretty good way to do that by doing some atmospheric reflection through the armor, which is always an option if you're painting a suit of armor, right? Like, it's one of those key things that you can get atmosphere pretty quickly from.
All right. Well, I was wrong. I like the back.
Looks like it's much better. Yeah.
I like the back, and I like the blue, and I like the palette from this side. However, it doesn't match with the rocks.
Yeah.
The blue is just a different tonality to the rocks. Atmosphere is such a fantastic topic, and Meg Maples does a whole class in atmosphere, and Roman Gruber does a class in atmosphere. And the one thing you have to understand is light, colour, is influenced by everything around it, right? So the green of the rocks should influence pretty much everything, right? Because that's the tone of the piece. And that blue, although it's really, good value, it stands out from the green in a negative way. I think just adding just some green tones in the shadows would have been enough to make that absolutely spot on. And look, mate, I remember looking at a piece of yours a few months ago, probably more like 12 months ago now, and you've come a huge distance since then. Just in terms of your understanding of value, understanding of brush strokes, and lots of good things there, right? So just your next step of your journey is much more about really understanding light and colour and how those things interact on your figure, because that's
I think you're right, Trent. And I think the other thing is you've got to be asking yourself, what is the purpose of what I am doing? So in regards to like the little rust elements and stuff like that, are those rust elements gathering where rust would on this armor? Is the texture that you've chosen to use like a reminiscent of the texture that would appear on armor. Stuff like this is what's going to take your painting to the next level. Sort of asking yourself those questions before you do them, and asking, do I need to do them as well is important. Hey, I looked up the meaning of atmosphere in regards to art history.
Oh,
yeah?
go, yeah.
So the meaning is atmospheric perspective, also known as aerial perspective, refers to the effect the atmosphere has on the appearance of an object, as it is viewed from a distance. In addition to creating a sense of depth, atmospheric perspective can be used to express environmental conditions and a time of day in a work of art. I actually think that is a fantastic little piece of information to keep in the back of your head.
Yep.
Let's just copy paste that one.
Pop that into the old group chat, eh?
Yeah. I'm just going to put that in. The Dirty Paint Water Society General Chit Chat.
Yeah, I think rocks are very rarely grey, right? So I actually like the fact that the rocks have a bit more colour. I think you could have then highlighted the rocks up to grey and left that colour in the shadows, and again use that green colour across your whole piece, and you have a much more coherent and consistent feeling vibe. So mate, I be proud of what you've painted there, because that's a really cool piece, and we've probably gone hard on you, or I've certainly gone hard on you, because that's probably what you need to hear now. You need to hear the stuff that's going to help you move to that next step.
Yeah, if we ever go too hard too, I want people in the chat to say, hey, that was a bit rough, like.
I don't want you to say that. I want you to fucking suck it up.
You like it hard, yeah. Fair and hard is, I think. To add to that last little bit about the rocks, you've made colour the feature of the rocks when the rock should be the feature of the rocks. Colour should just help you tell that story.
Oof, good one. It was soft for me. Gone soft in my old age.
Yeah, maybe you have. I don't know though. I think you've gone more considered. I think you actually have, as your knowledge of painting has grown, and more judging you've done, and so on and so forth. I think you've just found new ways to articulate what you're trying to say.
Oh, I think it's also about telling people what they need to hear when they need to hear it.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes you need to be ruthless, and sometimes you just need to softball it in. Yeah, keep it up though, mate. Keep it up. And if you can be fucked, ruminate on that little quote about what atmosphere is, because I think there's a lot of really good information in there about that. And let me give you another piece of advice that I've given many people, and I know very few people on this fucking chat have taken it up. But don't go back and fix it. Just move on. Right? Just move on. Pick up another model, start a new model, learn.
That directed at someone, mate?
It was directed at someone on this fucking stream, you pillock.
We all have our own ways to learn.
Is there a way to resist the urge to highlight everything? Just don't do it?
Who asked that? Is that Sleepy? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of gotta do some active thinking, I think, to go back and unpick. I mean, I'm making the assumption that you may have gone into miniature painting the way that the majority of people go into miniature painting, which is coming through the ranks of a tabletop war game or board game or whatever, where the painting is systematic and sort of designed for it with a particular goal in mind. But once you take the next step from that into more advanced painting, you actually have to you have to unpick a lot of those lessons, understand them for their purpose initially, and then sort of leave them as you move on in your journey.
I do believe I know what you mean, mate. Directed at Sleepy Slang there. But the simple answer is just don't fucking do it. Like, if you've got an urge to do it, and you're like, oh, I've got to do that, just don't.
Well, put a question in, right? Why?
Yeah.
That's the question you should put in. Why? Why am I doing this?
That's
Well, I'll ask you a very direct question, Sleepy. Are you having fun when you're doing it? Is that the zone? Is that you're actually having fun, and that's like you're enjoying yourself, so you're doing it? Or are you not having fun? You are having fun when you do it. Okay, well then that's a completely different thing.
Just
But
fucking
it looks
do it,
bad.
mate.
What do you think, Trent? The conundrum is, I enjoy doing it, but I don't like the outcome when it's done.
Tricky one, because in many ways the outcome is what we are striving for, but the enjoyment is the real value. Look, I think if you want to go look at the ancient masters of oil painting and have a look at what they do on their pieces, just go and look at some artwork and tell me how often every single fucking bit is rendered really well.
That's a really good point.
And if the answer is in every piece, every bit is rendered, then by golly, man, you just need to get better at doing it. It's my guess that won't be the case. You can't have chips, buddy. You can't have chips.
Yeah, I think you need to attach something that may help you with this, mate. Is to attach the question. What do I want the viewer who's not me to see? You know, like, what am I pushing in and out of focus for the audience? That might help a little bit as a stopgap before you start highlighting everything like crazy and going to town. Going, hang on a minute, I'm doing this on the backside of his left boot. Do I want people to look at this?
Yeah, I think it's a super valuable skill to have, to be able to use highlighted areas and areas where you've put time and detail into next to areas where you haven't put as much time and detail in, because as Frog Jim just said, it's a contrast of texture, of technique, of finish. It's creating a visual break, something that is different. So I am supportive of that, and I'm also supportive of not having to paint the back of models. So
Paint what you like. Yeah, it's probably honestly, it's probably a whole Party Monday of like, Trent and I could probably do a whole series of Party Mondays on the discussion of painting for your enjoyment versus painting to get better, and everything that's packed into those two.
It's through the ages of
Two
new
things.
story of civilization. I've got to just fucking have my turn in this game. I'm playing.
Yeah, you're playing Koki, are you?
I'm playing Koki and Tobes in a game of Through the Ages. Oh, journalism has dropped into the fucking top row. Don't mind if I do. Koki upped his military strength.
Pavel plays this game, doesn't he?
Yeah, he loves the shit out of it, man.
Doesn't he?
He loves it. Yeah, we talked about this because it's a mad game. I think we'll take journalism.
In the end, I think that's probably a good place to wrap that up too, Sleepy, without throwing way too much. Get a sponsorship, easy money. What do you mean, like a Patreon? Yeah, hopefully we've given you enough food for thought there, and enough to take away and put to use. Oh, for his phone game. Deno for his phone game. Yeah.
I'm not happy with that turn, but I wasn't in a great position. I'd put myself in a poor position in the previous turns. I didn't have a lot of hand size left, so.
I've noticed that people have not been hitting us up for as much feedback lately. So, like, you know.
Well, I wonder if that's because I did a bad job for a couple of weeks, or
Yeah.
don't know. I'm also against giving feedback on
Half-done stuff.
half-done stuff, as you know, because I don't think you get any value out of that. And I'm also against giving feedback to the same people over and over, because all I feel like we're doing is saying the same shit.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
you know, I want to, if I'm going to
Add value.
add value, exactly. So,
I think there's two things, right, that we can sort of ascertain is that there is feedback and then there is coaching, and they can be two different things at times.
yeah,
Coaching seems to be more in line with when people are halfway through something and maybe feeling a little bit lost or not sure where to go, and then feedback is the critique of their work at the end of a finished project.
yeah. And I will happily give someone critique, and I would probably happily give someone coaching, but if you're good at something, never do it for free, the old motto, right?
In before the Generation Saturation Patreon is getting ready to launch in 2023.
Indeed.
No. A discussion for another time. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Whatever paints you're comfortable with using, mate. Like, use it. I'm on like a real big. I'm not really into this, like, you know, contrast, but I use contrast paint, so they ergo, like, you know, it's. And I'm not saying this is you, Sleepy, by any means, but a lot of people kind of attach this notion that if I'm using contrast paints or express paints or whatever, then I'm let off. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I was using these paints and, you know, they're designed just to be really quick and so on and so forth. Like, contrast paints are like all paints. You know, they're an incredibly useful tool that can be used at all skill levels. So.
I think we'll probably wrap up shortly, mate. How are you feeling
Yeah.
about your efforts tonight?
My efforts?
Yeah.
In regards to what?
Just on the stream. I think you had some great value tonight.
Yeah, I thought I was like a scattered cat, really, like just sort of all over the show. But if I've added some value to the stream, then that's always a good thing.
No.
I figure the day I stop adding value to the stream is the day you'll just say, "Hey, mate, fuck off."
I would never do such a thing to you, mate. No, I think you're. So yeah, just wank you off a little bit. Your hey Wes, your ability to articulate your thoughts and your feelings about painting and about your process, I feel like has improved significantly. Particularly through this forced interaction, but
yeah, I agree.
But also just, you know, in general, your understanding of your own process and you know how your painting is coming along, and I think it's exciting times, mate, to see what you're going to cook up next and where you're.
Well, we're going to cook up some ummies for a little bit, you know, and like I said at the start of the stream, mate, I'm a big believer of practicing what I preach. You know, I preach fundamentals as something that you need to be constantly maintaining and upkeeping, and so, you know, I'm going to paint some armies to do that, and that's going to make my display painting a whole lot better.
I am also one to practice what I preach. As I said today, I am preaching paint your unicorns. Yeah,
I like paint your unicorns. I think I'll be painting Wise Woman this year.
Good.
So that will be a unicorn for me, and another one for Spira. Whereas, Let's talk, man. Airbrush thinner ratios. What do you want to talk about? Like, what are we trying to achieve?
I will give you
Um,
my golden ratio, which I have developed and tested over many, many years of airbrushing. It is 50-ish percent. Well, it's not really a precise measurement. It's just this sort of ballpark. 50% airbrush. Don't use airbrush cleaner. Airbrush thinner. This one. Boom. I use Vallejo because it's there, but I've also used this one, which is the Tamiya, which is also fine. 50% that, 50% water, and then 10% flow improver. I know that's 110%, but it's about that sort of ratio. 45,
So,
45, 10.
is the flow improver in there? I'll ask this. Is the flow improver purely in there because sometimes we make magic concoctions and we believe in our brains they work?
Exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the flow improver's not actually offering anything to the mix, but if you feel comfortable with that, that's what you have to go with. And that's the thing. One thing I will say was for stuff like this, it has to be what you're comfortable with. But if you're ever using any Tamiya paints, they have to be thinned with Tamiya thinner. That's an absolute must. If you're really concerned about your, not a lot of people are, but I found this really fascinating after spending time with our friend Pavel. If you're really concerned about how your colors are going to look on your models in the long run, then some Joe Sonia's products lessen your color likeness or whatever it is, and so colors can fade a little bit. It probably wouldn't be too much of a problem with thinners, but something to bear in mind.
So I'll tell you why that ratio works for me. I tried just airbrush thinner, right? And I found that the airbrush thinner just broke down the paint too much in some cases. And I also found that with some figures, it caused them, or some paints rather, to actually like separate. And
I've experienced that too.
And the paints would actually, sometimes even clog up that thing. So just water, on the other hand, didn't create enough dilution, particularly for the thicker paints. So I found mixing those two together was really effective, but I just added that tiny little touch of flow improver as well, because I felt like the flow improver helps it stop drying on the tip.
Yeah. That I mean, again, like that. Yeah, that could be a really useful little thing. It might actually do that. And that's the thing about this whole thing is like you kind of got to find what you're comfortable in,
Exactly.
and what works for you more often than not. I used to have, similar to Trent, I used to have like magic mixes and like little ritualistic things I would do, and probably still do in painting. I think we all do. But I've tried a few. I've tried like the pure water technique and had pretty reasonable results on pure water, following the Spanish tutelage there. I've tried, similar to Trent, running a flow improver airbrush thinner mix. I've never used any Joe Sonia stuff personally, but I know a lot of people who really enjoy Magic Mix. Sleepy, in regards to the AK thing, are you actually thinning AK products? You need to thin, in my opinion, your ultra mattes and your mattes and your glosses. They're too thick. So hit them with some normal Vallejo thinner and that should work just fine.
I do actually think, Wes, without taking too much credit, I do actually think that mix does reduce clogging and reduce, the issues that you have, because you're not, you might not get maybe the full opacity that you might get with some of the other things, but it certainly helps you with.
I can definitely say that I get more blockages, or I clean probably a bit more regularly than Trent has to, so there might be some merit in this.
Well, I haven't cleaned my airbrush in months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't cleaned my airbrush in months. Yeah, well, I haven't cleaned my airbrush in months. Yeah, well, I haven't cleaned my airbrush in months. Yeah, well, I haven't cleaned my airbrush in months. Yeah. Yeah, good talk, Wes. I have not airbrushed an awful lot of AK paints actually in here, at all.
AK paints are quite glossy. Something to note. So they will often need a reset after they've been airbrushed. I've got a fair bit of experience airbrushing with AKs. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
I'm so devastated you didn't like the Witches, mate.
I didn't say I didn't like them. You should know me well enough by now. I don't speak in absolutes. I don't deal in absolutes.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes, mate.
Huh? Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Yeah.
Wes, we did miss you, mate.
I would have loved to have seen you.
Would have loved to have seen you, buddy. But yeah, we had a nice time. I'm vibing everything I'm doing, mate. All the colours just like feel like they're coming together. Everything's just, it feels like I've remembered how to paint or something. I don't know. I'm just
maybe it's a shift in focus.
Could be. Whatever it is, I'm here for.
Is Melbourne my home turf, Wes? Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah. Sure is. So the Melbourne direct crew, you know, for me is DC and so Dave, Benny, and Storm. There's actually quite a few display painters around Melbourne. Hopefully something gets put together. Sleepy, what's my most used brand or favourite even? Great question. I'm probably a predominant AK user, although you sort of see if I move out of the way, in behind me I carry a pretty big paint range and I find good use for everything. When I'm painting army stuff, I love using scale 75 stuff in regards to their metallics. Vallejo True Metal or Metal Colour are fantastic. Still a big user of Citadel paints, find a lot of great colours in that range. Massive user of contrast. So yeah, I'm all over the place, mate. Go for everything. There's no, I do not let branding limit me in that regard. And as such, maybe haven't found a favourite.
I have favourite colours, right? But I don't have a favourite brand, and that's it's a good lesson for everyone.
Something that I was actually talking about favourite colours that's fascinating me right now is there's some studies that have done to see people and where they favour certain colours at certain points in their life.
Oh.
And a very, very common colour for us, Trent, where we're at, because we're pretty similar, only 3 years
If you say green,
red.
Oh, I was going to say, right.
Red is a very, very popular colour. Hey, Cooch.
Hey, Cooch.
G'day, Cobber. Love it.
We got to chapter 13, Wes, and then Koki dislocated his shoulder, and we couldn't keep playing for a while. So I'd like to get back to it, but we've been taken over by other games. I had Aeon Trespass Odyssey come through not long after that, so I ended up playing the shit out of that. Really enjoyed Oathsworn though. I think it's outstanding and probably will be good to finish it, but that was just some fucking spam bot, Cooch. Yeah,
I enjoyed reading that spam bot. He was like offering us promotion and all sorts.
Thanks, spam bot.
No. So yeah, mate. Like red is a and if you look at myself, it matches up pretty well. I paint a lot of red, particularly when I'm painting armies. A lot of red armies.
Well, I've done a lot of red too, but probably not quite as much as you.
Yeah. Can I tell you, red is kind of feels like a bit of an endless colour as well. I feel like you can paint red so many different ways.
Yeah. I like trying to experiment in my head with cold reds. Like I don't think I've ever really cracked a cold red that looks as good as some of the warm reds I've done. So journey.
I'll tell you a color I'm really into right now. I know a little range. So from Vallejo, their Panzer Aces range. You'll always hear me say really good things about this.
Yeah.
I'm loving their Carista USMC 319 tank crew color, which is like this beautiful, weird green, like desaturated blue green.
Yeah.
And I use it often for my whites and my creams.
There you go.
They start at this color.
Wes, I have actually completed three cycles, and I completed cycles 1 and 2 twice. So yes, I have indeed played Aeon Trespass. All right, friends, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I think we'll.
Before we wrap up, I'm going to give a mad shout out to my beautiful wife because it's our 1 year marriage anniversary today and our 10-year anniversary together.
Wonderful.
So sometimes she watches these to have a giggle at you and I because she thinks we're idiots.
Someone is getting ploughed tonight. Giddy up. All right, I'm going to put these together and we can just have a little look.
Yeah.
Come get a treat. Come get a treat, buddy. Treat.
I spent it on stream. We have plans next week, mate, and we already did some things today as well. All right, how you feeling about it?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's looking better and better and better. It needs a spot color.
Well, this is the question, right? So, do we go with the old glow from this bit?
Through the center.
Yeah. Do we come up with a little cheeky red glow from underneath?
Yeah, you definitely could do. I think the spot color could be in just adding a little bit of color into their skin, and that could almost be
All right,
enough.
mate. The skin's not finished, you fucking dog. Just fucking relax, eh? It's gonna get finished. There'll be more colour in it.
Will there?
Maybe.
Can you promise this to me?
No. All right. Let me. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's head off stream. We'll chat again soon. We'll go find someone we can raid. You got to watch that video, by the way, of me playing the Iron Gauntlet. Fuck, it's awesome.
You lost, didn't you?
I won that one that I linked.
Okay.
Yeah, killed it. All right, we'll go raid Esmeralda. She's a nice
Is that the hat lady?
Streamer. Yes.
Warhammer Mania.
Yeah. She's very, very nice. All right, friends. We'll see you again soon. I'm back on Sunday, and Bucks will be back next Monday, hopefully.
Yep.
Peace.
See you all then.